Well, Eamon, people continue to file past me on their way into Westminster Hall. The queue is still snaking through Victoria Tower Gardens just to my left-hand side, and the queue goes all the way over Lambeth Bridge, down the South Bank, past the National Theatre, and I'm told the nearest landmark at the moment, if you want to join the back of the queue, is Blackfriars Bridge. So far, at the moment, it's about a 2.1 mile long queue. Now, I was speaking to a couple of people very early this morning who've been queuing here since 10 o'clock last night, and 7 hours later, when I spoke to them, they were still very much queuing. But it's been pretty well organised, I think, from that's the view of the people in the queue at the moment. So there's Metropolitan Police officers on hand. There's also several steward volunteers. There's places to go to the toilets. There's water fountains, and businesses have extended their opening hours, and there's also a wristband system, so if you need to leave the queue for whatever reason, you can go back to where you left off after a short period of time. Now, as for Her Majesty the Queen's coffin, it remains in Westminster Hall for people to go past and pay their own personal respects to the sovereign. It's on a raised platform called a catafalque, and it's adorned with the royal standard and the orb and sceptre, and we're expecting tens of thousands more people today to go into Westminster Hall to see Her Majesty the Queen's coffin. Now, as for His Majesty the King today, he left Buckingham Palace yesterday via helicopter following that ceremonial procession, and we understand he's now at Highgrove, so there's no public engagements today for His Majesty the King, but he is expected still to be going through those government papers, something his mother did for over 70 years, signing off bits of documents, and yesterday he had several phone calls with world leaders. It wouldn't surprise me if there are more phone calls lined up for today, but it's all going to be done behind closed doors, so we don't expect to see His Majesty the King today. However, we do know now that the Prince and Princess of Wales are expected to travel to Norwich, to Sandringham, was the Queen's Sandringham estate, it's now the King's Sandringham estate, to view the floral tributes that have been left there, and perhaps it wouldn't surprise me if we see another walkabout from the new Prince and Princess of Wales. Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, the Queen's daughter, who accompanied Her Majesty's coffin from Scotland down to London a couple of days ago, along with her husband, Vice Admiral Sir Tim Lawrence. They're both expected to be in Glasgow to go to Glasgow City Chambers to meet representatives of organisations of which the Queen was patron. So a couple of engagements planned, public engagements for the royal family, but as for the people in the queue, it's not long to go before they get to pay their final respects to Her Majesty the Queen in Westminster Hall.